In a village shrouded by ancient tradition, a newly married couple, full of hopes and dreams, eagerly awaited their first child. The air was thick with anticipation, but also with a shadow of an old, cruel belief. The birth of a girl was a sign of misfortune. When the day finally came, their home was blessed with a beautiful baby girl. But instead of cheers and congratulations, whispers filled the village streets. Neighbors and elders looked upon the young family with pity and scorn, predicting a future plagued by bad luck. The couple's joy was tainted by the community's judgment. "She will bring ruin," some said. "A burden on your house," others muttered. The young parents were heartbroken, not for themselves, but for their innocent daughter, already condemned by a ritual she had no part in. Looking at their baby's tiny face, a fire ignited in their hearts. They refused to let their daughter be defined by this superstition. They would not hide her away in shame. Instead, they made a solemn vow to each other. They would raise their girl with all the love, pride, and encouragement in the world. They named her Ananya, meaning unique, a testament to their defiance. As Ananya grew, it became clear she was no ordinary child. Her mind was a whirlwind of curiosity and sharp intellect. While other children played simple games, Ananya was taking things apart and putting them back together, asking questions that stumped even the village elders. Her parents nurtured her inquisitive nature, providing her with books and encouragement, fueling the bright flame of her intelligence. She was a beacon of light in their home, her laughter echoing against the walls that tried to contain the village's prejudice. She excelled in her studies, her understanding of the world expanding far beyond the narrow confines of their small village. Her parents watched her, their hearts swelling with pride. They saw not a curse, but a brilliant, promising future. They knew they had made the right choice. Their daughter was a gift, and they would protect her fierce spirit against the world. When Ananya was 11, a crisis fell upon the village. The monsoons failed. The sun beat down relentlessly, cracking the earth and drying up the wells. The river, once a lifeline, dwindled to a muddy trickle. Panic began to set in. Water, the very essence of life, was becoming a scarce, precious commodity. Villagers started rationing, their faces etched with worry. Fields that once swayed with lush green crops turned to dust bowls. The cattle grew weak, and a sense of desperation hung heavy in the air. The elders performed ritual after ritual, praying to the skies for rain, but the heavens remained silent. The situation grew more dire with each passing day. The community, which had once been so quick to judge Ananya's family, was now united in a shared struggle for survival. The laughter of children faded, replaced by the grim reality of a long, dry, and uncertain future. The village was on the brink of collapse, its people losing hope as their most fundamental resource vanished before their eyes. While the adults worried and prayed, Ananya's sharp mind was already at work. She had spent hours observing the land, remembering lessons from her books about geology and water tables. She knew that deep beneath the dry, cracked earth, there had to be water. The problem wasn't the absence of water, it was the inability to reach it. An idea began to form in her head, a brilliant spark in the darkness of despair. She scoured the village scrap heaps, collecting discarded pieces of metal, old pipes, wooden planks, and forgotten bicycle parts. Day and night, she worked tirelessly in her family's small yard, sketching designs in the dirt, hammering and fastening. Her parents, though unsure of what she was building, supported her completely, bringing her food and water as she toiled under the hot sun. Slowly, a strange contraption began to take shape. It was a makeshift pump, a windmill-like structure designed to harness the power of the wind to draw water up from deep within the ground. It was a machine born from necessity, and forged by ingenuity. With her model complete, Ananya, full of hope, presented her idea to the village council. She stood before the grim-faced elders and explained her plan with a clarity and confidence that belied her young age. She pointed to her diagrams, explained the mechanics of the pump, and insisted that water lay just beneath their feet. The response was immediate and dismissive. Laughter and skepticism filled the hall. "A child's fantasy," one elder scoffed. "We need rain, not toys made of junk," another declared. The weight of their old prejudice resurfaced. What can a girl, especially one born of bad luck, know about solving such a problem? The rejection was a heavy blow, but Ananya refused to be discouraged. Her parents stood by her side, their belief in her unwavering. "She has a right to be heard," her father argued, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. The council dismissed her idea as foolish and sent her away. Ananya walked home, her heart heavy, but her spirit unbroken. She looked at her creation, then at the thirsty faces of her fellow villagers. She knew she couldn't give up. Not now. Ananya decided that if they wouldn't listen to her words, they would have to witness her actions. With her father's help, she dragged her contraption to the driest part of the village, a barren patch of land where the main well had long since run dry. It was back-breaking work. A few curious children watched from a distance, while most of the adults simply shook their heads in pity or amusement. For days, Ananya and her parents dug, using shovels and their bare hands, deeper and deeper into the parched earth. They faced ridicule and doubt every step of the way. "Wasting what little energy they have left," the villagers muttered. But Ananya's resolve was like steel. She remembered the diagrams in her books, calculated the depth, and guided her father. Finally, after days of relentless digging, they hit damp soil. A surge of excitement coursed through them. They positioned her handmade pump over the hole they had dug. Ananya adjusted the cloth sails to catch the wind. A gentle breeze stirred, then strengthened. The windmill began to turn, slowly at first, then with more confidence. The creaking and groaning of the makeshift machinery was the only sound in the silent village. Everyone had stopped to watch. A tense silence fell over the crowd that had gathered. The windmill spun, its gears turning, the long pipe shuddering as it worked its way into the earth. For a moment, nothing happened. A few villagers began to snicker, their skepticism seemingly confirmed. Ananya held her breath, her hands clenched into fists. And then, a sputtering sound. A gurgle. A trickle of muddy water emerged from the spout. The crowd gasped. The trickle turned into a steady flow, the water clearing as the pump worked harder. Pure, clean water, the likes of which they hadn't seen in months, began pouring onto the thirsty ground. A collective shout of joy erupted from the villagers. Children ran forward, splashing their faces, laughing with sheer delight. The adults stared in disbelief, their eyes wide with amazement. The child they had scorned, the girl they had labeled a curse, had just saved them. They looked from the gushing water to the small, determined girl standing beside it, her face streaked with dirt but beaming with triumph. In that moment, the old, cruel ritual seemed like a distant, foolish nightmare. The villagers rushed forward, no longer seeing a sign of bad luck, but a hero. They lifted Ananya onto their shoulders, chanting her name. The same people who had whispered insults now showered her with praise and gratitude. They looked at her with awe and respect. Ananya's parents watched from the side, tears of pride streaming down their faces. Their daughter had not only solved the water crisis, but had also washed away generations of ignorance. Standing before the entire village, Ananya spoke, her voice clear and strong. "It is not a daughter that is a sign of bad luck," she declared. The only bad luck is an old idea that holds us back. Daughters are not a burden. They are a gift. We are strong, we are intelligent, and we can achieve anything we set our minds to. Her words resonated deeply with everyone present. From that day on, the birth of a girl in the village was no longer a cause for sorrow, but a reason for celebration. The ritual was broken forever, replaced by a new tradition of equality and hope, all thanks to the courage and brilliance of one young girl who refused to be defined by their prejudice. She had shown them that a person's worth is not determined by their gender, but by the strength of their character and the power of their spirit. Thank you for watching. If this story inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that celebrates the power of the human spirit. Until next time.